If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby, Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast. We are, of course, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And yes, I am especially excited today because we had an awesome divisional round that we really needed. I was up 6 units. Steve was up 8 units. That puts us for the year neck and neck, actually, Steve. I'm up 14 units. You're up 13 and a half units. I, of course, am Ross Tucker, the former NFL offensive lineman, 5 teams, 7 years. Last weekend, I was in the booth for the Chiefs and the Texans. This weekend, I'll be on the sideline radio, Westwood One, for the Eagles and the Commanders, the NFC Championship game. Always fun to be inside the ropes and interviewing the winning head coach, winning quarterback after the team clinches the Super Bowl berth. So that'll be really fun on Sunday. Always a blast to be a part of that. You can check me out on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, or check us out at Ross Tucker Pod, which I would highly recommend for a couple reasons. Number one, that's where we post the highlight clips of each of the shows, right? Like there's probably 2 or 3, moments in each show that I think, boy, that was really good. For that, the guest said that. Well, we post those on social media. So follow at Ross Tucker Pod. It's also, if you follow us on X at Ross Tucker Pod, then you'll know exactly when we're recording the show because we post it live so you can watch us and get in on the action before the lines move, which is huge. The star of the show is Steve Fezzik, the only 2-time winner of the Super Contest. I was hanging out with some folks after the Chiefs-Texans game, and they were talking about Fezzik and how much they love the show, and I listen every week, and that's awesome. It's very humbling and very cool to have people come up to me and tell me how much they like the show. Programming note, by the way, because there's only 2 games this weekend, I'm going to discuss prop bets quite a bit on the Fantasy Feast podcast with John Daigle tomorrow. So we'll break it down from a DFS standpoint because people like to play those short slates on DFS at DraftKings. Of course, use the code Ross. But also, these fantasy guys, they know the prop stuff. Like the fantasy guys are into the prop stuff. They know it very well. So I think I might even put the Fantasy Feast podcast for this week on this feed so that you guys can just easily listen to it because we're going to be discussing a lot of prop bets. And I might put this show on the Fantasy Feast feed this week since so many people that are going to be watching or listening to Fantasy Feast are going to want to know our bets on this show as well. So keep a lookout for that. As a reminder, it's not too late to go to patreon.com/RTmedia to get the vaunted spreadsheet from our guy Grades, which is especially valuable, I would say, Steve, as we start to get into some of the exotics and some of the prop bets. Like he had a whole column for our bets that aren't ATS, aren't the total, aren't teasers, and it was the incredible under 6 punts bet for Lions Commanders, which I can't wait to discuss with you. That was amazing. Shout out to James McCoffey, Harry Voorhees, and Rick Corcoran, some of our latest Patreon members. Patreon.com/RTmedia. You get access to the private Slack channel where you get the vaunted spreadsheet from Grades. Steve, it was good, man. Usually I feel like the playoffs can be tough, because the lines are so tight, but you were up 8 units. You basically hit on everything except you pushed on the Eagles and the Rams with the laying the 6. And I was up 6 units on, I got every bet right. Every bet I put out last week, I got right. It's pretty awesome. It's a good feeling to have that kind of weekend in the divisional round.
No doubt, being dialed in, and we love doing the show early in the week. The Eagles, we were on them -6. There were even some -5.5s, -15s out there. We grade against DraftKings. On Sunday, when the game went off, line was 7 everywhere, Ross. So shows you want to bet early in the week if you've got conviction on something that's likely to move.
Boy, that's a terrific point, Steve, because that could have been real bad. If you had laid the 7, you lost. You laid the 7 Tuesday morning, so you pushed. We'll start with the game I called for Westwood 1 with Kevin Harlan. It's the Texans and the Chiefs. I haven't had that much success with totals, so I only put 1 unit on the under 42.5. You put 2 units on it, Steve, on the under 42.5. Final score was 23-14, so it only got to 37. So that stayed under. That was nice. We also had the Chiefs as a 3-unit best bet teaser with the Bills up to 7.5. We teased the Chiefs down to -1.5. The very rare 3-unit teaser that came through for us pretty comfortably, I would say, right? The Chiefs went in the game by 2 scores. The Bills won the game outright. So that felt really good. It's interesting, isn't it, Steve, how the Texans had way more yards. Kind of felt like the Texans got the better of the action, and yet they lose by 2 scores.
Well, it's hard to win when you're playing, 11 against 18, with the refereeing crew that gives Mahomes every call, seemingly. But that's got to be part of your handicap, and frankly, he's earned it. It's like Michael Jordan had earned it. The league knows to protect their superstars, and if you just looked at the box score and yardage, you would be terrified that Kansas City had lost the game. But there's certain aspects to these Chiefs, and frankly, the Patriots for years did the same thing, where they didn't wow you in the statistics. All they did was win.
It's so true. And by the way, Brady would get some calls too. I'll say this, Mahomes does an unbelievable job of drawing the foul. Like Will Anderson hits him, and if you're the referee behind it, Mahomes snapped his head back. Like he snapped his head back like he got smoked in the head.
And he has mastered the technique of, instead of putting his head down and diving towards the sideline, no, just be cool. Start to glide towards the sideline. And if dude's about to hit him, step out of bounds, get the 15 yards. And so the dude lets up, and then all of a sudden he does, this with the football and gets that extra 2 yards.
The one where he slowed down, he like almost stopped at the sideline and then got pushed and did one of these. This is why you guys got to watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross. He did one of those, I got pushed so hard. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you. Like, I'm not here for the soccerification of my beloved pro football, but he's doing whatever he can to try to win the game. I'm with it. I mean, the other one, he didn't even slide. Right when he was about to get crushed, he just dropped his butt to the ground, and those guys hit him. At any rate, the Texans also, they killed themselves, Steve, with some of their missed assignments, some of their penalties. I actually thought that was for your quarterback power ratings, I thought that was a favorable grade for Stroud. He made a bunch of clutch throws. He ran effectively. The only thing I really didn't like was some of the sacks he took to knock him out of field goal range, although Fairbairn missed 2 or 3 kicks anyway.
Sure. Well, that's on the coach. You don't try a 55-yarder in the bad weather like that. I mean, I'd rather punt. And I hate punting, but you should go for it. By the way, I want to challenge Travis Kelce right now to a sprint in the 40-yard dash. He is the most effective, slowest guy I've ever seen in the NFL.
He didn't look that slow on the 40-some yarder where he made 2 guys miss.
Well, my point was after he made those 2 guys miss, and he had 5 yards clear to the end zone, and 2 dudes caught him 12 yards later, right? I mean, so it's still hard to tackle.
Hey, I posted this, Steve, on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. I'm just telling you right now, if I was NFL defensive coordinator and I played against the Chiefs in a playoff game, I would bracket him like he's a gunner on the punt. We might lose 200 to nothing, but I would not let him beat me. I literally, Steve, every time it's third down, I would say to Kevin Harlan, you got to watch Kelsey here, and then Mahomes would throw it to him. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. How can you, like the Buffalo Bills, please do not let that guy beat you on third down or in the red zone.
It was like when we used to play basketball as kids and pick up, and it was like, hey, Kelsey can't shoot. Just let them throw the ball to Kelsey. Leave him all alone, right?
It is so funny. All right, let's get to the next game, which had one of the coolest bets ever. I mean, I'm literally at the Chiefs-Texans game telling everybody about our bet for Commanders-Lions under 6 punts because I thought it was so cool. Commanders-Lions, Commanders were getting 9.5. Steve, when's the last time a 9.5-point dog won by 14 points? I mean, I don't know if you have the data, but that's got to be about as much of a spread from where it was supposed to be that you'll ever see. The only bet we had on the game was Commanders-Lions punts under 6. There were 2. The Lions on the first drive of the game went 3 and out, and the Commanders, I think, first drive of the second half had to punt. That was it. The whole game, 2 punts. We absolutely killed that bet.
And it goes to show you, by the way, to answer your question, and I know I'm cheating by going to college, there was a game UCLA was a 10-point underdog to Texas, and they won like 55-10. But there's a lot more variance, obviously, in college. The punts bet, see, this illustrates why if you're a serious bettor, you could have such a higher win percentage playing props than you can playing against the spread. Look at that Eagles line. Plinko could have gone either way, right? There's so many games like that, whereas we could have played that game 100 times. And we would have cashed 90 plus playing that punts under. And kudos to DraftKings. They left that up all week long, under 6.5, minus 170. Not just 6.5. And they just took action on it. So that's fantastic that they allowed everyone who had a DraftKings account. You could have bet that Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. It was there all week long.
So what I don't understand about that is why wouldn't at some point the line have changed if people are betting it that much? Maybe they weren't.
Well, what DraftKings has chosen to do is they'll take positions on stuff, especially I think stuff that people put out, like that we put out, and they're willing as a business model to gamble and win and lose some games. And I wouldn't do it if I was the sports book operation. But you know what? It builds up great customer loyalty to let people bet on what they want to bet.
Sunday started with the Rams and the Eagles. The Eagles were laying 6. You put 2 units on it, Steve. And I guess in part, thanks to Jake Elliott missing 2 extra points, you pushed the bet. If Jake Elliott makes one of those 2 extra points, you win the bet. But instead, you pushed on that game. Although that was an interesting game because the Rams certainly had their chances. The turnovers, the snow, kind of crazy.
I'll make the case if Elliott makes both of the kicks, I probably lose. How often do we see when a team is up 8, they just don't have that same sense of urgency than they do when they're only up 6, right? All the time, it seems like when teams, down 8, they get back into it and they get that touchdown to cut the lead to 2.
Finally, Ravens-Bills. You kind of doubled down on this one, Steve. You put 1 unit on the Bills getting the 1.5, even though I know you're a big Ravens guy. And we had them as part of our 3-unit 2-team teaser with the Chiefs. So you won 4 units on that game as the Bills won the game outright, 27-25. And it was fun to see all the Bills fans going crazy, drinking their Labatt Blue Lights with all their friends and fellow Bills fans, living their life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly beer Labatt, USA, Buffalo, New York. I feel like that game kind of played out the way you said it would, Steve, where the Ravens were better, but Lamar doesn't play as well in the playoffs or as well in Buffalo. I mean, obviously, I don't know that you knew that Mark Andrews was going to do that, but it kind of did play out the way you said it would.
Yeah, and I do think that people disagree with me, but the frigid temperatures, the Buffalo players more used to it than Baltimore players. Was that a factor? It couldn't have hurt Buffalo. Hey, to be fair to poor Mark Andrews, this is not an example where a guy, and by the way, people are old enough, remember like the Black Sunday game where was it Jackie Smith dropped the touchdown in the end zone for Dallas, and Dallas was down big when he dropped that, but ultimately the game was lined 3.5 to 4.5, and Pittsburgh won by 4, landed right on the number. But here's a situation where Andrews is on the half-yard line. All right. Yes, he should catch it and he should fall into the end zone. But there's a big difference between being in the end zone and just having to cradle the ball in and he's close to the sideline. You got to catch it and you got to fall slightly backwards and get in the end zone. There's a lot going on in your head. It's a much more difficult play than if he had just already been in the end zone.
Yeah, and it was not an ideal pass either with the way you're supposed. I mean, if the guy's out breaking route, you're supposed to throw it towards the sideline. All right, so for the week, I was up 6 units. You were up 8. We were 3-0, Steve, on our best bets, which is huge. So for the year, I'm up 14 units. You're up 13.5. Feels good to be double digits. And we are 72, 60, and 3 on our best bets. That's a 53% strike rate. Steve, before we get to the conference championship bets, I have something that's always a best bet. westshorehome.com/Ross. These guys were actually out at my house last week. I am thoroughly impressed by any employee from West Shore Home that's been to my house over the last couple of years. The guys that came to do the bath, 2 bathrooms in one day, 2 new showers upstairs, my daughter's room, the guest room in one day. And then they've done all 4 doors in one day each time. And I texted, the owner is a listener, and I texted him, I said, man, I am so impressed by the culture or your hiring. They're all good guys. That's what you want when you have somebody coming over to your house. And right now they got the 3 for free sales event. Free install, free upgrade, 0% free interest. So just like Fezzik says to stack the bonuses from the sports book, stack the bonuses from westshorehome.com/Ross. So you already know that Smirnoff is the official vodka partner of the NFL and Super Bowl 59 because I've been telling you all season. What I like about Smirnoff is that you can get the world's #1 vodka without breaking the bank. Very affordable. This feeling is what the folks at Smirnoff call Smirnoff Extraordinary. They actually partnered with Complex, letting fans get their hands on some amazing items handpicked by celebrities, including NFL legend, Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis, for just $12.99, just like a bottle of Smirnoff. Head on over to SmirnoffDrops.com to check out upcoming drops and check out these Smirnoff Extraordinary items. Go quick, they're not going to last long. Please drink responsibly, by the way. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer. May vary by state. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age. All right, so before we get started, you need to know that playoff season's here. And the only thing better than game day predictions are the foods that come with them. Introducing Tums Fantasy Foodball Pool, brought to you by Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, and DraftKings. Each week leading up to the big game, turn football into food ball by building your best game day plate for a shot at winning a share of $40,000 in cash prizes. Inspired by game day bites and tailgate treats, join the Tums Foodball action during this playoff season's most heartburn-inducing time. Visit DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball between January 6th and February 9th to enter for free and select your game day plate before the start of each playoff round. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms at DraftKings.com/TumsFoodball. When you feel the heat of the game, don't let heartburn keep you on the sidelines. Try Tums Chewy Bites with a tasty outer shell and soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid ingestion, and upset stomach. Check out Tums Gummy Bites, featuring a soft and easy-to-chew format for fast relief of occasional heartburn, acid indigestion, sour stomach, and upset stomach. Both available at Amazon, Target, and other major retailers nationwide. And for more heartburn relief fun, be sure to follow Tums at Tums Official on Instagram and TikTok. Let's start with the NFC Championship game. I will be on the sideline. Commanders are getting 6 points against the Eagles, Steve. The total is 47.5.
So my first take was Hurts isn't 100%. I got to bet Washington when the opener came out at 6. This line dropped to 5. It's back up to 6. And you know what? I'm thinking to myself, the Eagles already steamed up to 7 against the Rams. I could see it happening again, and here's why. There's going to be the geeks that just look, the trend geeks are going to look at certain things. 4th straight road game for Washington. That is not favorable at all. Back-to-back upset wins in the playoffs. When teams do that, typically they fall on their face in the finals. However, I can tell you in some way, shape, or form, I'm on Washington because this team is special. Daniels is special, and they've got 8 days to prepare. And in fact, because of that, I want to make 2 bets on this game. I'm going to go 1 unit on Washington, just 1 unit, because I think if you wait, you might get more than 6. I got to do it. I got to play A.J. Brown under 60.5. He is just not right when you watch Philly. And the quarterback, Hurts, is not right. So the combination, it's going to be hard for A.J. Brown to have a big game. So just 1 unit A.J. Brown under, 1 unit on Washington, and a lean to emerging De'Ami Brown, who's now up to 42.5. He's become the number 2 wide receiver for Washington. So a lean on to Brown over. 2 plays.
Yeah, there's some interesting injuries to watch for sure on the Eagles side with Hurts, his knee, and Quinyon Mitchell is a big loss at corner. If they don't have him, he is fantastic. I'm going to tease the Eagles down from -6 to 0. I think they're going to win the game. I mean, it would be super impressive to me if the Commanders win this game. They can do it. They certainly can do it. They're playing better than their talent. But I think the Eagles are going to win the game. I'm going to pair that with the Bills up to +7.5 in a 2-unit, 2-team teaser like I like to do. So I got Buffalo +7.5 and Eagles at 0. They just need to somehow, some way win the game. Super impressed by what the Commanders have done. This would be the all-timer if they can get this one done as well. Let's move on, Steve, to the Bills and the Chiefs. The Bills are getting 1.5. The total's 47.5. How about the fact that both games have the exact same total on DraftKings right now? That is bananas to me. 47.5. Bills are getting 1.5. How do you see this one?
This is a very difficult game because the Bills, I've had them better than Kansas City all year long. So power rating wise, I got to take the Bills, right? Catching the points. However, 7 straight AFC title game, got it quarterback, Kansas City getting the calls. You know what? At some point, you stopped betting against the Patriots during their great playoff runs. And I think we're there with Kansas City. I just can't do it. I could tease Buffalo. I don't disagree with your teaser. I'm worried about the Eagles. It's going to be a close game, and Kansas City's probably going to find a way to win, and they might win by 1. They might win by 3. I know we all want to have action on each and every game, but it's right where I make the number, Ross, and because of that, I'm going to pass.
Steve, what do you think about the under in this one? Any thoughts on the under? They both have good defenses. I know everybody thinks Mahomes, Josh Allen. I wouldn't be surprised as this game gets closer if the total goes up, because I think most of the public thinks Mahomes, Josh Allen, Mahomes, when really both these teams, I don't see there being a lot of points in this game. I think it is, 47.5. You're telling me 24-23 hits the under?
Well, Kansas City, you're spot on with the Chiefs. So, dead not under team. Their defense is playing better. They're trying to get the ball more to Worthy, and their playmakers and A.J. Brown and Hollywood Brown. etc. And their running backs are back. So there's reason to think that their offense will be improved. But I still agree. The problem is I don't agree that the Bills have a good defense. I think the Bills had the second best. Well, Lamar Jackson's the second best. So they have the third best quarterback, and he just does it with smoke and mirrors oftentimes, Josh Allen. So the Bills are a dead nut over team. So I'd still lean under, but I can't get there.
Yep. So I'm going to do 1 unit on the under 47.5 for Chiefs and Bills. Of course, that means it'll be a shootout with Mahomes and Josh Allen. And I'm also going to do 1 unit, Steve, Washington +6, like you are. We're going to have a best bet on that one, Washington +6, because I feel like there's a pretty good chance the Eagles win by less than 6. So I might be able to capture all 3 units there, my 2-team teaser, but also Washington able to keep it close, but the Eagles still find a way to win it. So, all right, cool. We got some bets. By the way, you were texting me before the show started that something about Martin Luther King Day, which I don't know. I mean, it won't happen again for 364 days, but you still had a point you wanted to make.
Yeah, whenever professional athletes get put into a situation that they're not accustomed to, you want to look towards it. So that happened yesterday. The reason I brought it up is that there are 8 NBA games, and all 8 would have gone under in regulation. One of them went over due to overtime, but a lot of them went under by like 20, 25, 30 points. What the heck happened? Well, it's a Monday, and a lot of these games have earlier start times. So think about this. It's not just an early start time on a weekend. Players go out on the weekend, etc., and they're not accustomed to playing an early start time Monday. And so it absolutely, in my opinion, impacted the offense's ability in the end. There was really poor shooting yesterday.
I would also say this, I forgot to mention this, but for that Washington +6, Steve, we'll make that our best bet of the week, presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours because it's our only best bet of the week. You kind of think the Commanders are going to win, don't you?
Oh, they could. And the reason being the health implications. Like, I love the Eagles. I had the Eagles power rated to the moon, but they were leaking oil at the end of the Rams game. There was no doubt about it with the Rams moving the ball. And all of a sudden, Hurts can't throw like I'm used to him throwing, and he can't run. So the Eagles, we have to downgrade their power rating big time.
Yeah, the thing about that though is they were calling bootlegs. He booted out to the right. He booted out to the left. I don't know. I mean, they got so close. Saquon scoring the touchdown. They were going to do the tush push. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could look at the other way too. But they did win the turnover battle. So that they easily could have lost that game without those turnovers.
Hey, he can beat Kelsey in a race. There's no question about that.
Oh man. Says something about Travis Kelce that he's that good with not being able to run as well. Patreon.com/RT Media is where you guys can check out all of our best bets, all of our bets, period. He's at Fezzik Sports. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.